I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Congressman.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
There's insanity in the control room.
Who's got a hammer?
The nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. We get stories. Of course, we have Republicans immediately effing shit up. So I know. Oh, sure. You say the S word, you don't drop the F bomb. You beta. What are you doing?
Beta male.
I don't know what that was. But anyway, I have to get past the censors. You see, I do not want to be 1984'd by YouTube and all that stuff. I don't know. Being super ridiculous today, but it's it's a kind of show where I'm apparently in a weird mood, even though I have really important things to talk about. So, with that, we are going to talk about, of course, Republicans' first day in power in the House. What did they do? What things did they do for the American people? Well, you're not going to be surprised what they did. And it generally goes to help them. Weird. Anyway, we have that. We have, of course, the Biden documents scandal. We got documents. They found documents. You know what? They even had dumps.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
No. Okay. I've got that discussion. We're going to start that actually at the beginning of the show here. We'll talk about basically the comparison between Biden's documents scandal and Donald Trump's. So we'll talk about that. We got all sorts of details. All right. With that said, we also have Republicans going after vital programs, and then Rudy Giuliani getting a subpoena, and we just found out about it. What was it about? Well, you might actually be heartened by this, because it looks like Jack Smith might be going after the money. Oh, interesting. All right. So, with that said, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Also of note, Diamond from Diamond and Silk has been reported to have passed away in her home. I forget her name because it wasn't really all that important to me or anything like that. And so I saw her name. I have ADHD and I cannot remember people's names very easily. So I don't remember her name. But at the same time, I'm not a monster. And so I feel bad for her family, for her friends, her loved ones. I feel bad for all them. And look, I don't know if it is confirmed that she had passed away from COVID or COVID-related things. I know from the reports that she had been sick since Thanksgiving. And so it kind of tracks with what you might see from COVID. But I'm not 100% sure. But let me say this. She was allegedly, apparently anti-vax. Very much so. And so if she had died from COVID, then that just compounds the tragedy, basically. And that it could have been prevented. Again, based on what I know. Either way, I'm not, interested in like using it to like score points and be like, oh, I was right, yeah. Ever to find out, yeah. No, it's generally sad when somebody dies, even if it is someone that I vehemently disagree with on policy. And yes, even when it is could be self-inflicted, there is still the tragic human element of it. And it is sad that if this is the case, it's a result of the disinformation, misinformation that many of on the right have been talking about, have been pushing about COVID and about COVID vaccines. Because remember, COVID, yes, largely people have forgotten about it. And then, but the thing is that even though people have largely moved on with their lives, COVID is still here. It still kills 2,000 people. Okay. And I forget that if it was every day or week, again, ADHD, my brain is a mess. But at the same time, it's still a lot of people. It is still here. It is still dangerous. And just because we have forgotten about it, and especially lawmakers have forgotten about it, doesn't mean that it's not still an issue. So, But anyway, we'll move on. Okay, so with that, why don't we dive in to the stories here? We're going to start out with some documents. And I forgot to fix that. Okay. Former President Donald Trump is furious over recent reports of classified documents being found in a private office once used by Vice President Joe Biden, at the time Vice President, who is now President. In fact, he has called on the FBI to raid Joe Biden's house. Yes, that's right. Raid his house. Now, let's give you some details here before going to the statement. According to a new report from Politico, classified documents from the time when Biden was serving as Barack Obama's vice president have been found at a Washington think tank that he had sometimes used as an office space, the White House said on Monday. In response to that report, Trump said this: "When is the FBI going to raid the many homes of Joe Biden, perhaps even the White House? These documents were definitely not declassified." Okay. The guy's ridiculous. As usual, right? I'm surprised that this actually wasn't put out on True Social.
Truth, essential.
No, it was an actual statement. It's like, no. Get this. Okay, I need you to put out an official statement. It needs to be like in a press release or something. Okay, that the FBI needs to raid Joe Biden and his many homes. Okay, but all right. So, look, why don't we get into the details, into the documents, what we know, what's known about this, and we'll go and do a comparison between Trump and Biden and their handling of classified materials. So, now, the report first says that lawyers for Biden had discovered the documents last November while clearing out the office space and handed them over to the National Archives, which handles all such materials. This is according to Biden's special counsel, Richard Sauber. He added, the White House is cooperating with the National Archives and the Department of Justice. Well, okay. That pretty much should be it. Cooperating. Now, look, to be fair, questions, right? We've got questions. How many documents were we talking about? Where were they located? Okay. And were they securely stored in that location? Important questions. Again, you do want to make sure that any classified documents are located in a proper place, proper storage, protected from prying eyes. Makes sense, right? Well, for the first question, Sauber described this as a small number of documents with classified markings that were found at the Penn Biden Center, a think tank affiliated with the University of Pennsylvania. About 10 documents were found in all. Sources told CNN that the materials included top secret files with the sensitive compartmented information designation. Aha! Oh, okay. Wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Republicans right now. Got him on what? Okay. Got him on what? For one, let me point out some things here. Obviously, they were not at Biden's personal residence. So I'm going to ask Trump, why would you raid his house? Is there any evidence of any additional classified documents at any one of Biden's homes? No. So, and look, the FBI, by the way, the FBI didn't raid Trump's residence until someone inside had tipped them off that Trump still had top secret documents that the National Archives had been trying for months and months to get back, and asked very, very nicely. And this is after several times where Trump's like, we gave you everything that we have. We don't have anything else. We've returned everything. We have cooperated 100% fully. Okay, anyway, again, what about the actual location of the documents in Biden's old office? The question there is, could anyone go in and find them and just take a look? No. Turns out they were in a secure closet. Now, look, did they belong to the National Archive? Yes, of course, which they are now at. But before they were there, they were in a secure closet. So, of course, the next obvious question there is, did anyone have access to that closet? I don't know. I actually don't have that information. I don't know who else had access. Obviously, Biden's lawyers did. So now, what were the documents? According to a source familiar with the matter, they contained intelligence memos that had covered topics including Ukraine, Iran, and the United Kingdom. Interesting. Biden and his legal team said that they did not know what classified documents were found at his private office. Look, here's the thing about that. It doesn't matter. I don't necessarily believe him, mainly for the point that it's embarrassing, given the context of being Trump investigate. And of course, here you have all the MAGA supporters, all right wing, saying, "Oh, we got him. And he's like, I don't know. I don't remember. And maybe he doesn't remember. Okay, sure. I just know that it's embarrassing. And politicians in the government do not like to be embarrassed. I don't care, though. It's not really that important. The real important question here is, did Biden break any laws in the handling of classified materials? Well, let's look at how side documents are handled. That designation means that they should only be read in a secure facility by those with proper security clearance. He was vice president at the time. Okay. So now the other question is, was this a place where you could read those documents? Yeah, it turns out, yes, you could actually read those documents there. And why? How does that work? Well, the SCI is, again, sensitive compartmented information. And you can set up a facility that can either be permanent or temporary. And you can set it up basically anywhere you want to. Examples of that would be the Situation Room in the White House. You could set up an SCI there. You could even do it on board a ship. You could do it in a private residence of an official. You can do it in a hotel room. You can do it basically anywhere else where it's necessary. And that's it. Okay. Now, you might point to saying, like, so private residence, huh? Is that a private residence? Yes, of course. And as long as you follow the certain guidelines that are set up to create a secure facility, you can read the documents in the secure facility, and that's totally fine. In fact, you have several different examples. You had George W. Bush setting up his own at his ranch. You had Secretary of State Hillary Clinton setting up one up in her Washington, D.C. home. And Donald Trump had them set up at both the Trump Tower in New York and his Mar-a-Lago resort. So yes, at one time, Mar-a-Lago was considered an SCI. And that was totally fine when he was president of the United States. And then the issue arises when Trump was no longer president. According to a CIA official, a former president might receive access to limited classified material after leaving office to assist with writing memoirs or at the discretion of the current president, but a formal security clearance isn't involved because a former president no longer has formal security clearance. And again, let me just note that, honestly, the rules are pretty lax for former presidents because they were presidents and they had access to this material before. That said, you have to be a royal F-up in order to get in trouble for this. And that's exactly what happened with Donald Trump. He F'd up. Again, Trump was asked numerous times to return the materials that did not belong to him. He then claimed that he did. And then they found out, no, you didn't. You were lying about this. Your lawyers signed off on this when there were still documents there because we found out because someone inside of Mar-a-Lago told us that you still had stuff. Either you knew you had it and you lied about it, or you're an idiot. Or maybe both. Now, as for these documents, and there's another difference here. So, for example, the National Archives knew that there were documents that Trump hadn't given them yet. And so they were like, hey, can you give us the documents? Hey, Mr. Trump, it's been a while. This is the National Archives. We'd really like those documents back. I mean, if you could just send those out, we'd really, really appreciate it. Hey, it's the National Archives again, Mr. Trump. We're just following up on those documents. We've called last couple of months now. We really like those documents back. You said you were going to give them to us. So, please send it back. But this one, the report noted that the documents were not subject to any previous request or inquiry. So this was a big surprise to everyone. And since handing them over, Biden's attorneys have cooperated to ensure that any Obama-Biden administration records were appropriately in the possession of the archives. So understand the difference here. The Biden team, Biden lawyers, they're cleaning out an old office. They're like, oh, crap. We still have documents here from when Biden was vice president. Shit, we ought to return these. And then they did. Okay. Now, if Donald Trump had done the same thing, oh, crap. I got documents here. They don't belong to me. I got to give them back. Then he wouldn't be in trouble. There wouldn't be an investigation. Wouldn't be talking about this because he would have done what he was supposed to have done. He wouldn't be under investigation by the Justice Department for obstruction or the Espionage Act. But he just couldn't do a very, very simple thing. Couldn't do it. Now, that said, since Trump is under investigation and since MAGA is so incredibly touchy, this discovery had, and this is what's sad about this, right? This has put the Biden team in a panic. Wait, why? Why? Again, I told you the situation. I broke it down. Okay, and so what? It's not a big deal. This seems to happen all the time. Yes, I know. It's weird to think about it. Like, oh, are you telling me that the government, that members of the government routinely misplace and do this to classified material? Yeah, it turns out they do. Okay. But then as soon as they found out that they had a mistake, they remedied it. They fixed it. They didn't sit there and lie about it and say, actually, no, I declassified them ahead of time with my brain without telling anybody. What's the point? Just return the documents and you would be fine. But he didn't do that. They refused to do that. And so now, look, with Democrats, unfortunately with Democrats, you have the overreaction of, oh my God, I'm sorry. Now Fox News is going to attack me. In fact, CBS News has reported that Attorney General Merrick Garland has assigned the U.S. Attorney in Chicago to review the documents, and now the FBI is investigating. But why? What's the point? All right, fine. Look, you want to do an investigation. Here's what you're going to find. They found documents, they took the proper action, turned it over, and everything's good. You happy? What's the issue? Look, I'm not the biggest Joe Biden fan in the world, okay? You can just go back to some of my incredibly harsh criticisms of him during the Democratic primaries, all right? And look, the reason I put a lot of that aside is because, number one, I'm there to defeat the fascists from the far right. But yes, I have issues with the Biden administration. I have issues with Biden. I don't think he's to the left enough. I don't think he's progressive. But you could disagree with me on that. But this is a nothing. It's like a nothing burger. That's what it is. It seems pretty standard here. All right. Okay, you want to do an investigation? Totally fine. Sure, do the investigation. Waste time, who cares? Whatever. They're going to cooperate because this is standard. The fact that Donald Trump did not cooperate and lied over and over and over again, that's where the problem is. It's really, really simple. So for Trump's calls and the right wing say, gotcha. No, they're butthurt. Donald Trump created this problem for himself. And he's just mad that he has to face consequences because he didn't do the right thing. He didn't do what he was supposed to, didn't follow the rules because he seems to be incapable of them. Okay. Anyway. Moving on. Go to ethics. With Republicans now in control of the House of Representatives, one of the first moves that they did was to immediately make sure that no one is able to hold them accountable by literally going after ethics. On Monday, the House of Representatives passed a new set of rules to govern the chamber that would severely weaken the ability of the Office of Congressional Ethics to investigate members of Congress over suspicion of wrongdoing. Oh, because of course they did. Ethics? Who needs ethics? I mean, come on. You want to investigate us for wrongdoing? No. No, we plan on doing a lot of wrongdoing, and that would just be annoying for us. Not on my watch. According to government accountability groups, the proposed rules package severely curtails the ability of OCE to do the job that it exists to do. They said this before the rules package was actually passed in January 4th, on January 4th. That was the letter that was sent. So now, one of the first people to cheer is, ironically, Republican George Santos. You know, George Santos, if that's his real name. He said this, quote, "I think it's fantastic." Well, of course you would think that. The guy who's probably one of the most unethical new freshman congressmen, lying about just about everything. Going, oh yeah, no, ethics? By the way, he is under 2 ethics investigations. This is a relief. He's like, whoo. Oh, they were going to investigate me for ethics issues, like, campaign finance and fundraising. But, now that they don't have an ethics committee or severely curtailed, I don't have anything to worry about, I guess. Wow. So, look, let me go into the details here. Because they couldn't get rid of it 100%, but they've weakened it, hobbled it. And so let me show you how. So now, according to Business Insider, the rules package reimposed an 8-year term limit for the Office of Congressional Ethics Board members, made up of former members of Congress. Now, you might think, well, that doesn't sound too bad. All right. I mean, for term limits, I believe in term limits. You believe in term limits? I like term limits. Okay. Now, this results, though, in the immediate removal of 3 of the 4 Democratic-appointed board members. Former Representatives Mike Barnes, Belinda Pickney, and Karen English. So 3 Democrats immediately gone as a result of that because they're past their 8 years. All right, so that means you don't have a fully staffed ethics committee. Oh, but that's okay, they say. You could just, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, he could just appoint some replacements. That could take some time. The new rules also prevent the office from hiring new staff after 1 month and require 4 board members to sign off on any staffing decision. Oh, okay. So wait. Now you have to have everyone else. If I had the Democrats, and then the Republicans that are left on the board have to sign off on the replacements. Interesting. Now, this means that the office, which is just 1 investigative counsel on staff and is actively seeking to hire 2 more, likely will not have enough time to hire new staff or be able to fill any vacancies that might come within the next 2 years. Not months, years. Basically, you know what? The next election, we're going to have no ethics investigations for 2 years. Genius. Taken together, according to Insider, the rules will make it extraordinarily difficult for the body, which otherwise operates independently of Congress and has generally appeared more effective at investigating allegations of wrongdoing than the self-policing ethics committees in the House or Senate. This is important because it was an independent agency to have the resources it needs to carry out its work. So again, that's important because you have the House ethics, you have the Senate ethics. Whenever you have them investigating themselves, golly gee, what do you know? We found ourselves to not be unethical at all. We have found nothing wrong with us with what we have done. No ethics violations here, not whatsoever. Nope. But this one, again, it was independent of Congress, and they did actually do investigations of both Democrats and Republicans. But again, the whole point was to hobble this because they think, well, that's going to be a threat. I don't want people investigating me. Now, the changes came just days after Santos who was reported by multiple news outlets to have lied about much of his background, is under investigation in multiple countries, one of them being Brazil, and faces at least 2 Office of Congressional Ethics complaints related to financial disclosures, was sworn into Congress. I've got more quotes from him. But this is the guy who lied about everything. And he's now getting a free pass thanks to McCarthy and the rest of the House Republicans. You know what they said? We do not give a damn. George Santos, you're a liar? Welcome to the Republican Party. You are home, son. By the way, it's important to note that George Santos, when he actually did vote, because he missed a couple of votes, because when they called his name, he did not respond. But when he did vote, he voted for McCarthy. There's more. He disagreed, apparently, to Insider, with the idea that the office would be weakened by these rules, saying, quote, I think it just gives them more power. How does that work? How does weakening them give them more power? It doesn't make any sense. He also said the rules wouldn't allow people to sit there without term limits, apparently referring to the board members. I believe in term limits. He also brushed off the staffing restrictions, saying that they would allow new members of the board to pick their discretionary members without acknowledging that this all had to happen within 30 days. So he also said this, quote, it's a good thing for transparency. It's a good thing for Americans. That's right. Less ethics is a good thing. It's transparency. Says the least transparent person I've seen. Again, I don't know if George Santos is a real person. Is that his real name? I don't know. Nobody does. Nobody can trust a damn thing he says. Now, Democrats responded to this as well. Here is Ro Khanna saying, quote, I don't understand how anyone interprets the results of the midterms to say we need less ethics standards. Well, that's because, well, if you don't believe in ethics, I mean, again, you have the Republican base saying, I'm going to vote for people with absolutely no ethics. Yeah, no ethics for us. Yes. Hold yourself accountable. No. We're going to hold the Democrats accountable, though. Oh, of course, for things that didn't even actually happen. He continued by saying, I have a lot of respect for the Office of Congressional Ethics. I think they've operated in a way that is fair, bipartisan, fact-based. There's no justification for doing this. Democratic Representative Abigail Spanberger of Virginia also told Insider in a statement that the rules package would render the office a, quote, toothless body in a forgotten hallway of the Capitol complex. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also condemned the rule changes, calling it a disturbing development, saying it does call into question if they're just going to remove it every time they're in the majority. Now, it's important to note that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is also facing an ethics investigation, and yet here she is saying we shouldn't get rid of the ethics office. Seems kind of like she actually seems to care about congressional ethics. Because most politicians, they'll look at that and be like, oh, I'm under investigation by the ethics committee? Let's gut the ethics committee. But here she is saying, I'm under investigation by the ethics committee. I'm not going to share the details, but I am going to say that we shouldn't get rid of the ethics committee. Okay. Now, again, she also did say that these were spurious claims that Republicans love to file against Democrats in the case of her case. But anyway, the Office of Congressional Ethics, according to Insider, has allowed for public accountability of several members of Congress during the past 2 years, and here's some examples. The body made referrals for several Republicans related to Stock Act violations, led to significant fines for former Representative Madison Cawthorn of North Carolina for improperly promoting crypto, and referred a case against Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as I mentioned before. So look, they don't just go after Republicans; they go after Democrats as well, and so seems like it's kind of necessary. But let's get to the reason why they're getting rid of it. The only one that I can think of, the simplest, the reason that you would want to kneecap the ethics committee is when you're planning to do some real unethical things. And that's, of course, the whole point. Okay. Their ethics will be to own the libs. Nothing else, just watch. All right. Moving on. Let's go to other things Republicans have planned. Hooray. All right. Here's that House Republicans are already looking at ways to cut Medicare and Social Security. Not surprising. According to HuffPost, Freedom Caucus Republicans have been demanding that House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy get to work on cutting government spending. That's right. One of their demands, in order to have them vote present for him being Speaker and allow him to assume the speakership, is that he promised to cut spending. Now, there's a lot of different ways to cut spending. You could end subsidies to giant corporations. You could end oil subsidies, giveaways to the rich, corporations. You could cut military contracts to the defense industry, which are worth billions and billions of dollars. There's plenty of money to be saved there without hurting average people. But we are talking about the Republicans here. So do you think they're going to cut the military? You think they're going to cut defense spending? No, not even Democrats cut the defense spending. You think Republicans are going to? No, of course not. If you believe that Republicans were serious about cutting defense, they're outflanking the squad from the left on military spending, you're an idiot. We're lied to. There's no way they're going to cut defense spending. As I said before, both parties always give way more to the defense industry, the military industrial complex. They always give more than they need, because look, for the military industrial complex, it's never enough. $800 billion, $900 billion. At some point in the future, I'm going to be reporting on, we have hit $1 trillion to the Pentagon. Anyway, in fact, here's what they do want to cut, though, in order to achieve their cutting spending goals, right? They want to get rid of things that help average people. In fact, here's Representative Michael Waltz during an interview on Fox Business being asked, are you guys actually going to cut military spending?
Congressman, should military spending cuts be on the table and put on the table by a Republican?
Well, look, I agree with Jim Jordan that we are going to carve out woke policies out of the military. We are going to look at the out-of-whack ratio of generals. I invite him to come on the Armed Services Committee and work with us on that. But Stu, and by the way, I'm all for a balanced budget. We've got to get spending under control, but we are not going to do it on the backs of our troops and our military, when at the same time we're talking about China is the greatest threat. We're going to have a select committee on China. They're tripling their nuclear arsenal. Iran is racing towards a nuke. North Korea is about to launch an ICBM. Russia is on the march. And oh, by the way, we still have a global terrorist state now in Afghanistan, thanks to Joe Biden. So this is, I mean, we can work on prioritizing defense spending, but that's really nibbling around the margins. Okay. If we really want to talk about the debt and spending, it's the entitlements program.
Of course. There they are. Basically, this guy's like, we should get rid of the woke program. What woke programs? Are you kidding me, right? Oh, we got woke programs. We're going to get rid of that. But also, cut the military. No, look at all these things that you should definitely be afraid of. Oh, China, Iran, we got all these. Oh, Russia, on the march, on the march. Be fair, they did march right into Ukraine. So, and I'm not saying that there aren't concerns for national security, but holy crap, we spend more than every other country combined on national defense. We can actually afford to cut some waste and fraud from the military budget, which I'm sure is full of. So fear, 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 be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. Also, look at that rogue global terror state of Afghanistan. Really? Global terror state? No, look, Afghanistan, the Taliban there is terrorizing somebody. It's their own people. It's women in their country. And that's horrifying. And look, again, we kind of knew that was going to happen. That's horrible to see. But at the same time, are they threatening other countries? Are they attacking other countries? Are they attacking their neighbors? Are they a global terror state? No. But again, this is all, oh, we need to be so afraid of all these things. And then the wokeness. So obviously we can't cut the military. No, what we have to do is cut your Social Security, Medicare. Yes, that's what we have to do. That's where the real savings are going to come from. Yes, oh yes. Here's the thing. Social Security is not paid for by the government. Paid for by you. It's your money. You're working for it. And it gets taken out of your paycheck, put into a trust so that you can get it later. That's it. It doesn't have an impact on the debt. But it doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. And that said, when you ask them, oh, are you gonna go after Social Security? They deny it, but kind of. Here's Representative Chip Roy saying, quote, what we have been very clear about is we're not going to touch the benefits that are going to people relying on the benefits under Social Security and Medicare, Roy said on Sunday on CNN's State of the Union. But we all have to be honest about sitting at the table and figuring out how we're going to make those work, how we're going to deal with defense spending, and how we're going to deal with non-defense discretionary spending, which again is basically anything that goes to help average people, food stamps, Medicaid, things like that. So basically, anyone on it right there, right now, which is a large amount of the Republican base, by the way. The Republicans have said, we're not going to touch it for you, so you can keep voting for us. But we are going to cut it for everybody else. In fact, the Republican Study Committee had proposed a budget for fiscal 2023 that would gradually increase the eligibility age for Social Security and Medicare and change the Social Security benefit formula for people 54 and younger while not changing it for people closer to receiving benefits. So basically, you're almost there. You've worked, you're 54 years old. Okay. We're gonna mess with the formula and we're gonna raise your retirement age. You're screwed. But for those who, are already on it, who vote for Republicans, well, we're not gonna touch it. You're our base. And to be fair, generally, older people are the Republican base. They skew more conservative. They skew more Republican. And so there you go. They plan to cut it in a way that specifically screws over younger generations. If you're 50, you get less, even though you still paid into that system for a significant period of your working life. They're robbing you of money that you paid in. And it's what they have always planned to do. And so it works out perfectly because they still get the votes from older people, older conservative Americans who are on Social Security and Medicare because their stuff's not going to get touched, allegedly. And how can you really take their word on that? But for everyone else, nah, you're screwed. Now, that said, the Senate, we still have a Senate that is Democrat controlled. They're going to likely stop this, obviously. But if and when Democrats do cave, and I believe that is definitely possible because if Republicans hold the debt ceiling hostage and cause us to possibly default on our debt in exchange for some sort of deal that would cut Social Security. Do you see the Democrats holding strong? There's some definitely who will, people like Bernie Sanders, is it guaranteed? But when it comes to crashing the economy by defaulting on the national debt, that's a potent weapon. Do you think House Republicans wouldn't try to do that? To use that to take these hostages? Oof. This could get very, very bad. Okay. They want to privatize Social Security so it works as well as our healthcare system. That's down the line, yeah. They want to raise the age of retirement to 70 as well. Indeed. Fetterman would also hold strong. That's true, Tyler. All right. Moving on. Let's go to more Republicans and what they plan to do. Fun. On Monday, the Republican House majority passed a measure to gut the IRS. Because, of course, it's what they had promised, and that's exactly what they were going to do. Now, that was their first bill. And it shows you that their first priority was to protect rich people. Now, you might think, well, wait a minute. We all don't like the IRS. We don't all like to pay taxes. Middle class people, taxes. Well, that's because rich people don't. And in fact, the IRS goes after poor people because they don't have the resources to go after the rich people. Now, the bill that passed on party lines would rescind $80 billion allocated to the IRS over the next decade through the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed in August. That money was earmarked specifically to go after rich tax cheats. This is according to IRS Commissioner Charles Reddick. Would only be used to increase audits of households making $400,000 a year or more. The resources in the reconciliation package will get us back to historical norms in the areas of challenge for the agency, large corporate and global high net worth taxpayers. Reddick wrote in a letter to the Senate in August. Now, if you are surprised by this, it's likely because you've been listening to right-wingers who have been basically raging about 87,000 new IRS agents that are coming for you and your family. Oh, okay, but the thing is, they're not additional 87,000 agents. A lot of them are replacements for people who have retired. And the ones who are new, again, are specifically mandated to go after wealthier tax cheats, who, of course, use loopholes and high-powered, high-priced lawyers to try to get out of paying taxes. They are very complicated tax schemes that you have to have time and investment to go through. And at this point, without that, without having people that are dedicated to going after that, and enough staff and enough support, they're going to go after the easiest marks, which happen to be poor people. And that's what's going on. And so, in fact, according to a study of 2022 IRS tax audit data, they found that a taxpayer in the lowest income bracket is currently 5 times more likely to face an audit that would that a member of the a member of the highest income bracket. That is 5 times more likely. It's because easier marks. The Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse at Syracuse University, who examined IRS management reports, found that the rate of income tax audits for those in the lowest income bracket hit 12.7 per 1,000, compared to 2.3 per 1,000 among those in the highest, a nearly 5-fold increase. Basically, the odds of a millionaire facing an audit are around only about 1.1%. Sure, there are less millionaires in the country, obviously, but they're also harder to go after. The track report claimed the lack of attention towards millionaires resulted from severe budget cutbacks over the years that forced the IRS to shift its focus easy marks in an era when the IRS increasingly relies upon correspondence audits, yet don't have the resources to assist taxpayers or answer their questions. That $80 billion in funding, of course, was there to address the issue. But obviously, Republicans and McCarthy says no. We must protect the tax cheats. The millionaires and billionaires, they are our donors. Obviously. Look, the rich people don't already pay their fair share of taxes. A lot of them get away with cheating the tax system as well. It's supposed to help with that. But of course, look, I would go further. I would close loopholes. I would actually raise corporate taxes, and I would raise taxes on the rich. Let's go back to, 1950s levels. Let's go back to the good old days where we had a marginal tax rate on the richest Americans of up to 90%. Let's make America really great again and tax the rich. But that's just me, of course. Now under corporate, neoliberalism, we have lower taxes for rich people than we do for average middle-class working people. That was the whole thing with Warren Buffett and the secretary, who, again, pays more in taxes than Buffett. But now, as for the popular opinion, look, Republicans are like, obviously, we got to get rid of the, 87,000 IRS agents because they're coming for you, right? And it's a mandate by the American people. Well, no, turns out this additional funding is supported by 2/3 of Americans. This is according to a 2021 University of Maryland poll. Look, people understand that the rich are getting away with cheating. Of course they do. And yet Donald Trump said that was a genius business move, not paying his taxes. Remember, one year, I think it was 2020, he paid $750. Supposed billionaire. $750. Ridiculous. I mean, but here's the thing, though. They know that the IRS, yes, targets poor people because they cannot go and basically stack up to the lawyers that rich people are able to retain. Not only that, but you also have rich people that are able to lobby and pay off politicians in order to get loopholes into the tax code. I don't think anybody should be surprised then as a result that McCarthy's first act is to pass a symbolic bill aimed at protecting the rich. It shows you who they really care about, who they actually want to serve. Now, they, of course, also want to go after Social Security, Medicare. McCarthy also indicated that this party is prioritizing woke indoctrination, fighting against that, whatever that means, and fully embracing attacks on LGBTQ plus students, families, and teachers that have ramped up in state legislatures in recent years, and efforts to stop educators from discussing institutional racism in the United States. Because, that's going to help you pay your bills. That's going to help you make ends meet at the end of the day. Hey, look, I know your job doesn't pay you that well. I know you don't have health care, but we managed to stop the wokists. We got them. We got them.
The wokers.
Yeah. No. This is their priorities. They don't actually want to help the American people. They want to help themselves. They want to help their donors. That's the issue here. A senior advisor at Buchanan states MAGA extremists who want to cut Social Security, raise prescription drug costs, pass a national abortion ban, taint the economy over the debt ceiling, and retaliate against the Biden administration with political stunt investigations are running the show. Ultimately, that's what's going on here. Now look, you might mistake me for being like, super Democrat loyalist. No. The thing is, I think the Democrats have some issues with taking money in politics as well, and we all know that. You have a lot of politicians that side with corporate interests because they take corporate money, right? But here's the thing. Republicans happen to be worse. Far worse. And so, yes, they will stop these things. And look, the measure does not have the support to pass in the Democratic-controlled Senate, and the White House has opposed this bill in a statement released on Monday. But note that it's basically Republicans telling you exactly what their priorities are. This is a statement from them saying, we will protect the rich and powerful at the expense of everyone else. Expressly. This is what we plan to do. So buckle up, everybody. Okay. So, let's see. Let's move on with one more story here. Fun times. According to a new report, former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani was hit last month with a subpoena from special counsel Jack Smith and his team. That's interesting. The subpoena requests documents from Giuliani about payments that he had received around the 2020 election. He actually got paid. That's amazing. So that's probably one of the most amazing things that I've read in this story is that, oh my God, Giuliani actually got money from representing Donald Trump in all these different lawsuits. But of course, it wasn't from Trump himself, as we're going to point out. But this is, of course, when Giuliani had filed those lawsuits on Trump's behalf, contesting the election results. Those are, of course, the cases where, he was farting on Jenna Ellis, gave her COVID, and lost pretty much every single case. I think there were one or two that he won on technicalities that had restored maybe a couple hundred ballots for both Biden and Trump. Didn't really make much of a difference at the end of the day, but fun. Okay, so now this is related, of course, to Trump's fundraising PAC that had paid Giuliani. Prosecutors have also subpoenaed other witnesses who are close to Trump, asking specifically for documents related to disbursements from the Save America PAC. Trump's primary fundraising operation set up shortly after the 2020 election, according to other sources with insight into the probe. Now, this is the PAC that raised $250 million from Trump supporters after the election, apparently saying, oh, we're going to fight, for election integrity. Did they? Not really. In fact, a lot of that money, or at least some of it, a big chunk, was being used to pay for legal fees for witnesses in the Mar-a-Lago documents investigation, which has nothing to do with what they said they were raising the money for. So, right. Now, some of the people that were given money, or at least were had their legal counsel paid for, were Kash Patel and Walt Nauta. Both are represented by Brand Woodward Law, which, according to public records, has been paid more than $120,000 by Trump's Save America PAC. Now, legal experts will point out, there's nothing illegal about that. Sure. That said, it could influence them, it could encourage them to not cooperate with investigations, and that could be an issue. Now, Giuliani, for his part, was paid by the PAC in his numerous lawsuits in order to overturn the election results, and investigators have prioritized getting this financial information from him. So, okay. Now, the inquiry to Giuliani came from David Rohde, a former top prosecutor in New York who specializes in, get this, gang and conspiracy cases. Spicy. Gang and conspiracy. Ooh. All right. In fact, he's assisting Jack Smith with examining a broader criminal conspiracy after the election, according to some of the sources. CNN also previously reported the Justice Department in September had subpoenaed witnesses for financial details about the Save America PAC, and that a portion of Smith's office would dig into possible financial and campaign contribution crimes. To that I say, finally. Finally, you have a special counsel that is looking at the money. For God's sake, it was there all along. Follow the money. You just got to follow the money. That's it. And look, after the election, Trump and the RNC, they lied to the donors. They knew they were lying to the donors. They said, the Democrats are stealing the election. That's what they've done. And so you just got to give us money. Your $5 will go to election defense. And then it didn't. And then we find out that some officials working in the fundraising campaign knew that there was no way that Donald Trump was going to become president again. There was no vehicle for that. I think it's very obvious when you look into the facts that, of course, of course Biden won. Yes, of course we're grifting and fleecing the rubes. Well, of course, that's what we do. That's what we do best. We lie to them and they give us money. What? What's wrong with that? We take the monies. Well, there's a lot wrong with that. And so they raised all this money, and then we find out they spent a lot of it on legal fees in unrelated cases. Now, getting to Giuliani, he has not personally received distributions directly from the PAC. However, his companies, yes, he has companies. Giuliani Partners was paid $63,400 for travel reimbursement by Trump's campaign committee in mid-December of 2020. Giuliani's New York-based security company also received $76,000 payment from another Trump-backed entity, the Make America Great Again PAC, for travel expenses in early February 2021, according to the records. So he did get, his company, got paid. For all those failed lawsuits, by the way. In his House Select Committee testimony, Giuliani explained that his team, working with Trump, pivoted to focus on state legislators that could block the election results after his attempts had failed in the courts. He declined to answer some of the questions the House asked about his work for Trump after the election, citing attorney confidentiality. As the fact that his company, which he benefited from, was paid by Trump Save America PAC, means that he couldn't testify against, Trump Save America PAC? What we're talking about with influence here, right? In response to being informed of CNN's reporting, however, on Giuliani's subpoena and asked for a statement, Ted Goodman, his advisor, had said this, quote, "The mayor is unaware of the specific claims by this so-called anonymous source, and therefore is not in a position to respond." Basically, I don't want to talk about it. Or otherwise,
I have not loved this conversation.
Not interested. Nope. I don't. I doubt he even knows what's going on at this point. Giuliani's brain is so probably fried. Or he's more like three sheets to the wind, but at the same time, I don't think he knows what's going on. So it might be difficult for him to answer any questions. Okay. Anyway, that said, Giuliani might be in a bit of trouble. Okay. So, with that, that's all we got for the show. Let me read some super chats before we head out for the day. Vight and Gale, thank you for being a member for 15 months, saying like 45. Like to keep my indie media alive. Thank you. Gabby Mathis says, don't touch my SSI and Medicare. Very expensive. My hubby and I live on it. Yes, indeed. Indeed. All right. Let's see. Twitch. Yesterday. Holy crap. Something just happened here on Twitch. I don't know what happened, but okay. Interesting. Dirk is Jerk. 1, thank you for resubbing for a month at tier 1. 3 months was yesterday. Beth Graham 76, thank you for resubbing for a month at tier 1 for 9 months. Awesome. And wow, I don't know if I got raided or something. I don't know what just happened. But all right. Thank you for everybody for watching. Appreciate that. Love you all, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, same channel, same everything. Fun times. Love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Mike Pence.
Obama.
We have to keep our country gay.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Disappointed!